these are clearly better than the 2018 pair. What's up, sneaker people? It's your boy FB QCING Gear, and we are back with another ultimate legit check guide, and I am very excited to be bringing you my first legit check guide on the Jordan 3 Black Cements. And there's a lot going on in terms of the conversation around these shoes right now, but in this video we are going to keep it simple and we are going to focus on our legit check guides, because you know, when there is a shoe that releases, that there's even a little bit of hype behind it, even if there are tons of pairs out there, there are going to be fakes that are on the market that will be scamming people. So with every semi to hype release that I can get my hands on, we will be doing the ultimate legit check guide. And what better shoe to do than one of most people's top Jordans of all time, the Jordan 3 Black Cements. So just like with most videos, we have my authentic pair here on the left. I was able to catch these on the shock drop. Very happy to get them for retail. We love retail wins on this page. And this is the replica pair that we will be using in the legit check guide. And you will find all of the images that you need to do further investigations and research on the Instagram account that's going to pop up on the screen. Remember, even though I'm going to do my best to show you guys the differences between this pair and this pair, I won't be able to cover everything. So it is incumbent on you to go deeper and do more research. So with that said, let's dive into this real versus fake, and we are going to start with the box and the accessories. So let's do that very quickly. So I think that it's pretty easy to see some differences when you're looking at the box. The main difference is there are color differences between the elephant print on the authentic pair and the elephant print on the rep. If I do this quick side-by-side thing right here, you can see that the authentic has a darker elephant print, particularly in the gray, than the rep, which has a lighter gray. Pretty easy to spot. The black of the lid is also a slightly different color. The black on the rep is just a cooler, colder black than it is on the rep. And obviously you can just see quality differences between the state of the rep box and the state of the authentic box. So knowing that, you should be able to walk out into the world and do your legit checks pretty easily. So let's get the boxes out of the way and let's take a look at the one accessory that these shoes do come with. So the one accessory these shoes come with is this Jordan card that we have seen in the Jordan 3 Reimagines and probably other general release 3s, but particularly the Jordan 3 Reimagine did come with a card that looked like this. But the difference between this one and the one that came with the Jordan 3 Reimagine was that the Jordan 3 Reimagine had some fading and wear on the overall design of the Jordan 3 paper, specifically here by the elephant print. And if you look at the replica, all they did was they copied they tried to copy the Jordan 3 Reimagine card, and they have the fading that we talked about here. This is not what's supposed to be on the Black Cements for this year. It's supposed to be just a plain card, and you can see that difference. You can also see differences in the overall vibrancy of the colors. The rep card is a lot more vibrant in the infrared that makes up the Jumpman, as well as this overall gloss to the paper that you can see shines, while the authentic paper is a lot more muted and matte, and it doesn't shine in the same way. So you will be able to legit check simply based on this little card here as well. You don't want to see any of the fading that comes with the Jordan 3 Reimagine. So that's the box. That's the little accessory paper. Let's get into the shoes. So this real versus fake comparison will be relatively straightforward, because while the reps definitely mimic the authentic shoe pretty well, there are some telltale signs that you can see immediately that tells you, hey, there's something off about this. And that mostly starts with the black leather that is on the upper of the rep. While it isn't a bad leather, it's decent quality, It's this matte black leather that wraps around the entire shoe. It has a very, very slight tumble grain, which the graining of itself isn't an issue, but the difference between the upper of the Authentic and the upper of the Rep is that the black leather on the Authentic is definitely a lot glossier. And that glossiness gives the texture a whole different look, in my opinion, especially when you're looking at that lower mudguard. It just looks like a softer leather visually and to the touch. This is just a different type of black leather, and you can really see that difference in the side by side. This should be a red alert for you people that still think that Reps are made in the same factories as the Authentic pairs, or that the Reps are made on some mystery third shift. It's not. If they were made in the same places, they would look the same. They would have the same materials. And clearly the Rep leather, while it's not super out there and super different, that finish difference is a very, very, very good legit check indicator, in my opinion. Moving on from the black leather, there are also slight color differences between the elephant print as well, but this is definitely not as drastically different as the uppers are. The elephant print on the Rep is a lighter, warmer gray, while it does maintain the light cracking that you want to see on the Authentic pairs of these, and not darker cracking like we've seen in the previous releases. It's still a lighter, warmer gray than on the Authentic pair, which is a cooler, slightly darker elephant print gray. Putting them side by side, you can see that slight difference there. Very minimal, nothing too crazy, but and you also really get a good sense of what that black upper looks like compared to the Authentic as well in this view. Tell me what you guys think. Would you have preferred this matte black leather as opposed to the shiny gloss leather? Leave it in the comments, let me know. But yeah, that looking at the elephant print, definitely very, very similar material. They feel very similar to the touch, but that color is just off. Moving on to the soles of the shoe, you see another visual difference here. The white and the infrared / fire red looks very close and very similar, but the grays are like night and day. The Authentic pair is a darker, warmer gray. The Rep is a cooler, lighter gray. It's interesting that they come off so differently. And from there, you can also see that we have a slight difference in the colors of the white for the painted midsole. It's just warmer white, cooler white. So looks like the theme here is that the colors are just slightly different on the Rep. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know why. It seems like that should be an easy thing for them to get. But if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that this is something that Reps in general struggle with color. But anyway, moving back to the shoes, you look at the back tabs and the back view, you can see that overall shape is a little bit different on the Rep. It's definitely a bit taller. You can see the proportion of that back heel compared to the back tab and compared to the Authentic. The Authentic just be a little bit stubbier and a little bit wider, while the Rep is a little bit more narrow and a little bit taller. One of the things that I am noticing though is that the gray leather with all the perforations seems to be exactly the same. So the Rep's got that 100% correct, 100% accurate, even down to the perforations. They look pretty good. But when we move on to the sock liner and the tongue liner, we are seeing a slightly different color red. If you remember in the Jordan 3 Reimagined, we saw this as well. The reds are just muted and duller on the Rep than they are on the Authentic, and you can see that by the inside of the tongue. And that just seems to be the theme here. We're just looking at color differences. But speaking of the tongue, let's take a look at the Jumpmen on the tongue and see what we get. I'd say they look very, very, very similar. The rep Jumpman just might be a little bit darker of a red, a little bit more vibrant of a red, while the authentic is maybe a slight bit more muted, but still very, very, very close within that same realm. One of the things that I do remember when doing the Ama Maniere Jordan 3s, the little plastic eyelet things here were a different color when comparing the authentic to the rep. When doing the comparison here, I do still see a slight difference. The rep is definitely a little bit more of an orange color as opposed to the authentic, which is a little bit more of a red. You can kind of see how much lighter the rep is in comparison. But outside of that, we are looking at more or less the same shoe. And I say that with air quotes because a lot of people have different tolerances for what makes a good rep versus a bad rep, so on and so forth. There are a lot of people that will see everything that I talked about and still say, oh, well, you know, they're not that different. And that's your prerogative. I'm not here to convince you either way. I'm just saying they can be legit checked, and that's what matters. So one of the things that I have noticed while handling these shoes is that in hand, the rep feels heavier than the authentic pair does. And I'm not entirely sure if that's the case, if my mind is playing tricks on me, but I'm gonna grab a scale and we're gonna find out right now. So since the color differences are there, in lieu of a black light test, I'm gonna weigh these shoes and see if they truly are heavier. So first I'm gonna weigh them individually, and then I'm going to weigh them together as a pair. So here's the rep. I'm gonna throw it on the scale, and when I throw it on, I'm getting 1 pound 6 ounces for the rep shoe, and for the other shoe in the rep, 1 pound 6 ounces. So both of those shoes are 1 pound and 6 ounces, and together it's that times 2, right? So 2 pounds 12 ounces. When I put the authentic pair on, or the authentic shoe on, 1 pound 3.4 ounces, 1 pound 3.6 ounces, and together we got 2 pounds 7 ounces. So we've got about a 5 ounce difference going from the rep pair to the authentic pair. I don't know what's in the rep that makes it a little bit heavier than the authentic pairs, but I could definitely feel it in hand, and I wonder if that is going to translate on foot as well. Probably not in a meaningful way, but still nice to know that you can weigh the shoes and see some differences. But outside of that, honestly, there's not really much else to talk about. I could pull out the insole, and we got the Dream Cell insoles, and we can see a pretty stark difference in color between the rep and the authentic. But again, that is something that we are used to, for sure. And one thing I will say, that whatever they use to kind of heat print this in is definitely not going to last very long. It doesn't look like it's very secure. You're going to get one wear out of this rep, and this is going to completely wear off. You know, not a big deal. It does happen on authentic pairs, but still something to look at. And the Dream Cell material on the authentic pair versus the rep, they feel nothing alike. This feels a lot more like rubber, and this feels like the traditional Dream Cell that we are used to. But yeah, guys, there is our first real versus fake comparison. Tell me, guys, how do you feel about these shoes? Are you going as crazy for these as some of the OG sneakerheads are? The only pair of these that I had were the 2011 pairs, and I love those shoes. We didn't really have an appreciation for accuracy in terms of shape back then. We were just happy to get whatever we got. But I am glad to have another pair as I skipped out on the 2018s. These look pretty dope. You know, there are a lot of complaints. There are people that are complaining about the consistency of the elephant print, the shape, how short the tongue is, and all that good stuff. But hey, beggars can't be choosers, and we are definitely beggars when it comes to the Jordan 3 Black Cement. So take it or leave it. that's what you got. So that said, guys, I'm wrapping up the video. Obviously, this is just the first of probably a couple of videos that I'll be doing on these shoes, so stay tuned. Remember, you can find more pictures of the rep on the Instagram account on the screen. Do your research, study the details, folks, and remember, don't get scammed. And with that said, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.